I want to tell you a story that happened to me, and I want to use it as an encouragement to you. I'm finding that as I go through my journey of faith, it's hard to find good examples in which I can look to emulate. So when it comes to finding stories, it's really difficult because we have in Christianity a kind of a taboo to actually elevate ourselves. And I don't want people to think that I'm elevating myself and have people saying, look at how awesome you are. I don't want that. But what I want is for people to actually see the examples that other people are doing. And I just want the example that I'm going to share with you to help you along, and so you can actually see that there is examples. And you, as you listen, if you have any examples that you're personally aware of something that you've done, leave it below in the comments. Tell me the story. So my story is this. A couple weeks ago, it was Easter Sunday. And normally on Easter Sunday, we have more people that come in. And sometimes those people that come in are homeless. And this is okay. I mean, we have no problem with it. It sometimes poses trouble because we don't really know how to deal with them or how to accept them into our church. It can be kind of difficult, and by the very nature of homeless people, usually they're a little bit more transient. So sometimes they'll come and go. Well, on Easter Sunday, we had a couple guys come in, and one of them in particular, he was begging for money. So this is understandable. I mean, he's homeless. He does want money for usually, I assume it's usually food. So this one guy was asking for a specific amount of money. Now, I assumed that he wanted food. So I offered to take him out to Taco Bell, which isn't too far from our church. I took him out, so I was like, hey, you want to go get some food? I'll buy you something. And he's like, okay. He was okay with that. So I took him out, we got into my truck and went over to Taco Bell. Well, as we're driving to Taco Bell, I started talking to him, asking him where he's from. And he tells me this story that he spent 40 years in the federal prison system for burning down a courthouse. Personally, I think 40 years for burning down a courthouse is a little excessive, but there might be more to that story. I get him the food and keep listening to his story. And the reason why he was asking for a certain amount of money is that he already had a job lined up with a local labor works, which is a temporary labor service, and he was going to be working construction. The only problem that he encountered was that he couldn't find steel-toe boots. And he needed steel-toe boots for working at this construction place. So I was like, let's go get you a pair of boots, steel-toe boots. So we went to the local Walmart, and I'm not the biggest fan of Walmart, but that's where he wanted to go get his boots from. And we went and picked up a pair of steel-toe boots for him. And then I asked, where does he want to be left off at? I didn't know if he had a place to stay, but he was living on the streets. So I took him where he wanted to be dropped off with, and I dropped him off there. Now, there's a lot of things that can be said about what more could I have done, but I didn't know what else I could have done. But that simple act of just getting the guy a pair of boots, I think was something that I can do, something that I could do. I don't have places for him to stay. I don't know the connections. Apparently he knew some connections because he had some other connections that he was talking about. But that was just one simple act that I did to help this poor guy get on his feet. Now, I know it's hard for some people to actually go out of their way and help. But as a Christian, I think it's a very important thing for us to do. When we have the opportunity, we need to be able to sacrifice of ourselves to do good works, to be Christians. And that's one of those things that a lot of times we kind of lose in the whole bustle and tussle of actually living in this modern society. We forget about people. And as a Christian, it's important for us to remember who we are and who we follow. Jesus wants us to actually do these things. So I want to encourage you, go out of your way, even if it's just in your church or even if it's with your coworker, to help them out, to be kind, to be gentle. It could be simply buying them groceries for a week if you know somebody at your church who's struggling. Or it could be your neighbor who's got too many kids and you can babysit for a day or two. Just these little things. And at this point in my journey, I know some of you are going to be critical, but I'm still working on some of these things. And this is just one little thing that I found that I was happy that I could do. That I could be like, okay, here's one step. And the next step for me, it could be bigger. But it just starts with that one step to being that Christian that God wants me to be. So help me out. If you know of something that you can do, let me know about it in the comments. And of course, this is YouTube, so like the video is awesome. Share it, that's great. And subscribe, which is even better. Eventually, I would like to not be able to work my regular job. Oh, and if you want to subscribe, we're going to put my, let's see, it's going to be right about there, I think. Just click on my face.